1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Charm Persons. This is The Last of Us, The Remains, The Last of Us, inspired.
What?
We
The
wish.
quiet part out loud.
Please help.
The Last of Us inspired TTRPG system, The Remains, the talkback for its season 3, which was based out of Atlanta, Georgia quarantine zone. I'm actually gonna. I forgot to let me get the music go.
Vibe us up.
Yeah.
Give us a vibe.
Yeah. It's not gonna be in the roll 20, so.
Oh, I was like,
but the viewers can see it or hear it.
Oh,
oh, 20.
Okay.
My voice would do that.
There we go. Okay, so, so this is the talkback for season 3. As you can see, we have everybody here. We have Kate Hoplin, played by J-Mo. We have Nessa Foster, played by Emily. We have Fable Martin, played by Kelsey. We have Levi Bennett, played by Sophie. And we have special guest and returning for an episode in season 3, Lex Cooper, played by Angie.
yeah.
So, Angie, we've kind of already talked to you in the last talkback about how you came up with Lex. So, we will kind of skip you for that question.
Please.
But for the rest of everybody else, I want to talk to you about, just where did your character come from? What were you thinking when you created them? What inspired you to want to tell their story? So, I'm just gonna make it easy for you and put people on the spot. Emily, if you want to go ahead and start us off.
Yeah. My answer is pretty easy because I've played this TTRPG that you made a few times now, so I think I was on the only skin that I haven't played. So I really wanted to go with the charismatic skin because I've played all the other ones, and I honestly initially came up with like a very elaborate backstory of Nessa's that never came to the surface, but the idea of this like kind of overly perky mother figure who has somehow like retained that positivity through all of this. I mean, that's pretty much where Nessa came from.
Awesome. J-Mo, what about you and Kate?
Yeah, I think I started with the skin, and I had only played a one-shot before, so I just knew I didn't want to be scrappy, because that's what good old Barty was. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be protector, and then kind of thought, like, how can I be a protector, but not like, very TTRPG. I'm a protector, but how am I not a protector, And so I went kind of the vigilante approach of,
Love that.
like, protect who you can, but you can't protect everyone, so it's okay if some people die. And like, okay, if that's her mindset, like, how did she get there? And so started with her just having experienced most of the whole of quarantine and QZ that was run by the Fireflies, and how that was good but probably also had its problems, and just kind of fell into the Fireflies because of that, and then made her way to the Atlanta QZ because the Dallas one was getting, overrun. So just like diving into a little bit of that, and then everybody's got to have trauma. So her mom died, and that was like the big moment for her.
The Remains definitely follows the Disney rule.
Oh yeah, no parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so from that, like, that was really her trigger of like, you can't protect everyone, but you can also protect people by just killing bad people. And so that's kind of also how her vigilantiness came of, I've seen how bad people can get, and if I notice them doing that, I'm going to make sure they can't do that again.
I love it. It was a really cool take on the protector skin, and something that I think, more people definitely would take advantage of in the real apocalypse, as far as this, like, law into their own hands kind of a thing. So it was super interesting to see. Sophie, where'd Levi come from?
Levi came from a desire to represent, I think, what would be canonically appropriate of the South, of playing a strong moral Christian character.
Yeah.
And that came from personal experience of growing up Christian. I have family in Chattanooga that it's not far from Atlanta, and so I was able to base a lot of those decisions, even like the way that Levi is Christian, which I said he's Southern Baptist, but he's definitely pretty loose in terms of what I understand Southern Baptist to be with interpretation of his faith, and that's kind of what drove Levi. For a moment, thought about doing the charismatic skin, and I was going to make Levi older, and the brawler was one of the options that was still remaining when I joined, since I joined later. And so I kind of made him a good old boy.
Yeah, I loved it. No, and we talked off stream about it too, but I think it was really cool to see a representation of something that we probably normally wouldn't see in a light like that. So it was really cool. I really liked it. And then finally, Kelsey coming in as our special guest star for season 3. Where did Fable come from?
Yeah, so I always play the nerd. It's my favorite thing to play. I love playing smart characters. So when I saw Booksmart, I was like, that's the one. But then as I was thinking about actually building out on the skin, I was like, well, the nerd always dies. Like, the nerd is not going to survive. So then I literally based her entire backstory and trauma and whatever on the fact that, like, how would a nerd survive this long in this pandemic for her entire life? Is someone else has to take that bullet. Like, that bullet's not gone. Yeah. It just is redirected. So all of the important moments in her life are people sacrificing themselves for her, and like that was the whole story, so that built off all the other stuff. And then JMO reached out to me, or Jay reached out and was like, does someone want a partner in the backstory? And I was like, done. So then we got to build that out too, so that was really great. But yeah, that's kind of where it came from, because I was like, how would this person survive? Yeah,
we alluded to it in the sessions, but I don't know if it was ever outright described that Fable had a list of people who had died protecting her. And I thought that was a really that's I didn't know that
at
about
the very
her,
bottom, Kate.
I know, right? Freshly inscribed.
But I do think, and this may be getting ahead of ourselves here, but I do think that Fable would have buried the list with Kate.
Wow, okay, all right. I
love
like, that.
You just at some point have to accept that people are gonna die, and like it's not always your fault.
Oh, I love that. Growth. We love growth.
I know.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. And we can touch more on that further in too. But Angie, I will ask, obviously we know kind of where Lex came from in season 2, but what you probably can touch on is coming at her again for one session 20 years later, especially after someone else has made some recent decisions for her. Just like, where was your mindset? What did you feel like you needed to do coming into it?
I was like, he's gonna ask this question. Because I was like in the shower, and I was like, that's gonna be the first thing he asks. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
No, it was
I was
wild.
also in the shower.
Yeah, in there with me.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah,
Spiritually.
in my brain. Spiritually, guys. Get your head out of the gutter.
Spiritually in the shower.
I pray to Zach every day. No, it was fun. I was kind of I had already known that I wasn't going to be able to do season 3 before you announced that it was going to be in the Atlanta QZ. So there was a part of me that was like, God dang it, can I be Lex the whole time? But it was, I guess, just mindset going into it was like almost easier in a way. There was like, it was like you had already laid out everything. You knew Lex from like a youth.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Lex as an adult. And so it was easy to just like put together the pieces that you had kind of put in front of me.
Yeah.
And
Definitely
it took a
inspired
little
by
bit.
choices with you and discussions with you as well.
Well,
Yeah.
and coming back, even like the moments before I got to play the last session, you and I were in cahoots, and it was basically like I was given a prompt that I had to then justify, which was like a fun project. Like it was just a really cool, fun project, and it was super easy to justify because we were both on the same page.
Yeah.
And even in our chats, we're like, yes, yes, yes. But it was I found at the end of the session, like, oh wow, I'm really proud of her, or like I'm really like it was just like a weird growth trajectory that
for sure
definitely was very therapeutic.
Amazing. No, I love that because Lex was left off in season 2 in a very shattered state, honestly. And so seeing how that manifested itself, and Mina and Lex not being together was 100% Angie's decision. I just want to put that out there on the record.
Like he was like
I was like, oh really? As if yeah.
But I will say
Oops.
It was it was oh gosh, I had a thought and then I was thinking about
oh no, I'm sorry. You
no,
were
it's
saying
okay, because then I was like,
because I said it was your idea.
It was my idea. You know, if it comes back, it comes back.
If it comes
but...
back, just rudely interrupt.
Oh no, I remember. Hi. Emotional roller coaster. What interestingly enough, it was Emily had said something like this about the previous season. Lex feels much more like 3D to me because of the play out of the beginning of the pandemic or the beginning of the infection. And there's something about knowing exactly where this person came from.
Not only did you develop a backstory, you played through a backstory.
Yeah. And it's so easy to slip back into that even 20 years later to be like, and like even in the conversations with Fable, I was like, I know exactly how Lex thinks because of where she's come from and because of the things she's experienced, and that was like
like in my exactly like when I was playing Lex and I said stuff to Fable, like I've seen things, I've done things, like Angie knows what I'm talking about. So okay, cool. So these were our characters. That's super awesome. And what are some? Let's start with. I want to start with moments that you liked or moments that you would have liked to see. I don't know. What do I start with? Okay, moments that you liked. What are some moments of this season that like just stood out to you? Stuff that just like hit home to you, or that you thought were moving or inspiring, or even just really funny, or you felt yourself in character in that moment. Just what is a moment that stuck out to you? Free for all, just whoever wants.
I think a moment that stood out to me was trying to sneak through that tunnel and biffing it, and it really spoke to my character. Even as I was like, man, I was like, dang, I rolled bad. But I was like, nope, this fits because I don't go out of the walls. I don't sneak around. I am not used to having to be stealthy at all. Really. The subterfuge that I do is a little bit more in the open, and then like, oh, I gotta like come back from this and just like one-shotting.
Amazing.
The first infected that we came across.
You and Fable were definitely the two most dangerous PCs.
But like how?
How? Both were the like
all along.
Both were the like untrained, untested characters that just came out of the gates really going for it. I love it. And that was a very good example. What are some other moments that stuck out to you?
I mean, I think the whole last session and like Kate's death was like we've had characters die. Like we even I think all expected that somebody could die in this last session. So for it to happen in a way that felt completely unexpected was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is like objectively, if you think about it, not that unexpected. Like she uses Martyr twice before, and you know, it's just the fact that, you know, I had to. It was a 20%. No, not 20%. It was a 1/6.
1 in
chance.
6.
Yeah, it was a 1 in 6
Insane.
shot of rolling the die that killed Kate, and I just happened to do it. And I just think, even when I said it, I was like, all right, max damage here could kill Kate. I just think we were all like, okay, but that won't happen, so Kate's about to be really low, so what are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
And then that 6 appeared, and that's why I love the Chat of Doom, because there's
God.
no rolling, there's no like, it's just like, poof, deal with it, like it's in your face, and that was
too bad, so sad.
Yeah, that I think that's what made it feel so sudden. And
Well, it was the weight of like everything we knew we wanted to do that we couldn't anymore, and it's like all these conversations that I think people wanted to have and like felt like they needed to have, and it was like
Kate had
realization.
Kate had open plot lines with literally everybody.
I know. I'm like the literal realization of that coming over. I remember like feeling it come, and you're like, "Oh, that all right? Well, there goes everything." Like this huge. You don't have it. You don't have the closure.
Yeah, and for Lex to be the person that was there for the death.
I know the only
compared to
person.
like anyone else in the group that she's been going through all this shit with.
Well,
it was Lex was like even more poetic of just like.
And I was mad. I found myself being mad that you even martyred for me in the first place, because I was just like, I'm over here. You walked up on me, like pointing a gun to your situationship, and now you're the one trying to apologize to me. And like, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because one of the moment that I was gonna say is relates to this too. As I was thinking back, I don't think I ever used Martyr for Fable.
Oh yeah.
Never directly.
I was always
but
hiding.
at the same time, it was always in my mind. It was still to protect her, because I knew Grace was the one that was like leading this group. So if I go, she can get us back. I knew Lex and her had a relationship and would make sure Fable gets through it and safe and all of that. So I protected her. So it's like I had that realization. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god. And I had like rehearsed. I had this whole thing in my mind of like, how is she gonna say sorry for 2.5 years of ignoring you for no reason other than her own weight of her burden? Like, it hurts.
Knowing that I honestly didn't even really think about that until just this moment. Like, knowing that Fable never got the closure of seeking redemption in Kate's eyes, but also knowing that she kind of never did need to seek it, but like she still doesn't have the proof of that. But oh god, that's a lot.
If I could write my last words again, I would add that like she was proud of Fable too in there. But
Wow.
Okay, well, I mean, I knew we were going to talk about it, but
What other moments? What funny moments?
Yeah,
Funny moments.
Funny moments.
I mean, it was definitely the biggest moment of the series, and
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I mean, it was super touching and traumatic because there was a lot left unsaid. And even if it would have been less traumatic, even if Fable was there, like even if Fable got to be there and hear Kate's last words,
I know
that would have been better. But just the fact that it was like, it was the person who arguably interacted with her the least out of anybody.
That's Lex's burden too, though. I feel like that's Lex's burden, is like she just keeps seeing these things, like even in season 2, like things like in the course of it, she listened to her mom find her dad. She listened to like all of these things. She saw TJ. She saw Rachel. She saw like just watching like person after person. So similarly to Fable, which like I would say
Officer
that kind of brings
Kavanaugh.
me. Oh my God, James.
The long list.
And so,
and those were all within 24 hours.
Less than it was like 12.
Wow.
But that is kind of one of my, like, even despite me playing it, my favorite thing was getting to see Lex, like even when you were playing her, Zach, getting to see Lex see potential way earlier than she ever saw it for herself in Fable.
Yeah.
And like the thing, I think Kelsey and I kind of talked about it because Kelsey was like, I did not expect you to say like have the reaction that you had when I was mad at you or when I was like trying to go off on you, and I was like, well, you did it, you're alive, so you did something right. And she was like, how dare you?
I didn't see that coming.
But I think the beauty and just like there's a kinship there and a it's not. For Lex, it would never probably be anything comparative to motherhood, but like that's what it is like you're crafting a human, you're giving them the tools they need to succeed. And I think that's like a beautiful thing, especially in this world of like that relationship can still happen.
Oh man, it's really touching, and I think that it's cool that we get to touch on those themes, and I think that that's what the Remains allows us to do, which is super cool. Are there any other moments that stuck out to you guys?
I do have one more that just like really messed with me, and it was one that I watched, so I have to say
messed with me.
The whole scene of Nessa in the interrogation room.
Oh my god,
just,
yes.
Like, one after another.
That
like,
was
taking
intense.
A hit,
The
taking a hit,
craziest
taking a hit.
thing.
Yeah.
And Emily like just like
stable and stoic throughout the whole thing.
So good.
Fucking
so
crazy.
Good. And like never giving them what they wanted until like even at the very end. I was just like that. And that's when I was like, because Nessa, I was like, okay, she's soft. Okay, she's for God's sake. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's why they took Nessa, because they thought that she would be the one that would talk easiest.
Yeah. And I feel like in that moment, I thought that like I always thought they were gonna get the information out of Nessa, but Nessa's goal was to give them as much time as possible.
Yeah.
If she could just hold out and really play, and they're like play her own game for a little while as long as she could, that would give them more time to get away.
I mean, Nessa was close to death at that moment.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna die for sure.
I thought for sure she was gonna hold out and get
so
like
bad.
shot in the head right then.
And honestly, thank God Leo was in the other room, because I don't think Nessa would have had the perspective to like give up and like save herself if she hadn't just seen him and like known that he was just another room away and that he might be nice if he was gone.
I have chills.
I have two moments that stuck out to me. Gosh, I have so many moments. I kind of have 3 moments. I'm going to quickly do 3 moments.
3 moments.
I have 4 episodes.
A quick 3.
One,
4 episodes.
the murder of O'Donnell was just an epic,
that
epic,
was
Oh
god.
That was
oh god.
It was
so
amazing.
good.
It was well deserved. It's what we all wanted to happen. I'm really bummed that we don't get to see the result of that. But still
that was always in the back of my mind. I was like, as soon as Kate gets back, she's a wanted murderer. So
so that was really dope. And then Kate, another JMO one, Kate holding Nessa hostage in the Vincent showdown. That was really intense too.
Holding Lucy hostage.
Lucy hostage. That was a super intense showdown. Really thought Leo might actually die there.
Me too, man.
Which was super crazy.
Me 3.
And then a third moment that sticks out to me, which was in the second session, was I don't mean to speak for everybody, but I think it took everybody by surprise when it was Sophie's character that did the inspiring speech to bomb Fedra. And did it in a way that was very convincing, you know? I think that like that definitely surprised me. I did not expect Levi to have that opinion. But then as soon as Sophie explained it the way that she did, I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
That was the only thing that sort of swayed Nessa to even
Agreed.
Well, that's why I was like, everybody is thinking this other thing. And that wasn't like a reason for me to like go and like I wasn't trying to be contrarian or anything, but I was like, no, I think like Levi really wants Fedra to go down.
What a real person you built though. Like it would have been so easy to say, I'm the religious figure, so I'm gonna be the most traditionally expected moral, but like you weren't, and that made it so much more real. Like everything your character said, I was like,
I mean, Levi honestly is the like I said, I try to have these like themes for seasons, and I don't even sometimes figure them out until like I'm halfway through them. But like season 1 was all about connections and relationships between characters. That's what I feel like season 1 was about, and like what your relationships can do for you and what they can inspire you to do. I feel like season 2 was all about, I mean, this isn't as much of like an emotional thing, but it was all about like survival and all about like immediate decisions, immediate danger, like high stakes. And then I feel like the 3rd season has been all about morality, and I feel like Levi is the kind of the personification of the theme of this series, which is like, yes, we would all probably agree that Levi is moral, and yet he agrees that this is what is moral, and it shows that morality is a scale, and it's not actually something that is concrete, and there is a very moral reason to go through with Lucy's plan. And I think I even started to, I didn't even expect myself to be so convincing as Lucy when Lucy said the stuff that she said, but I feel like literally everybody's characters were like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I also can't tell you why I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then to have Levi be the one who runs the bomb in at the end, like, oh crap. Like, the poetic justice of that was like...
That was pretty great. That was pretty great.
Crap, dude. It was so good.
Gosh. This season had a lot of really epic moments.
Can I toss in a funny one that I can never forget for the rest of my days?
Please,
was when Fable was like, I know how to talk, or I don't even remember the line.
I talk to people.
I talk to people. I was like, like I felt the cringe in my body.
Yeah.
Like that was one where I was like, yeah, I played that exactly right.
Yeah, no, Fable's
I was like, ugh.
Fable's awkwardness was super duper funny. The like Homer Simpson meme just like fading back into the background when she saw Peter. Peter ended up being a psycho, right?
Rest in peace. I knew. I was like,
I just for some reason I was like, what if I just made him nuts?
I love it. I was like, I was expecting something to be wrong, but I was like, not that. Not that.
Okay, well, what are some moments that we wish we would have seen either during this plotline, maybe even before this plotline, or maybe even after this plotline finished? What are some stuff that we wish we could have seen and it did not get shown on screen?
I was really surprised that we didn't have any interactions with like the Raider gangs after the first episode. I was like, because you built it up as a threat, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna like run, like they're gonna like raid the QZ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're like, cool, we're back because you drove. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, the Dust Devils.
No, this is like the fun subversion of like a Chekhov's gun, where I'm like, any minute.
I truly try to prepare for any decision that you guys will make. And so the Dust Devils was going to be the plot line that happened if all of you were like, fuck this, we're just going to leave the quarantine zone. Or if for some reason you failed to, I just like, if for some reason you were stuck outside of the quarantine zone and that's where the story took you, then the Dust Devils would have been more of a deal. But if you stayed inside, then it was Fedra, is kind of where my head was at. But yeah, that's funny. I love that. Yeah, that probably was a bit of or like it pulled a rug out from under you, like, oh no, where did that go?
I honestly thought we were going to, at the Fedra outpost, find the person, and I can't remember their name now, that the White Hand Man was looking for, and have to decide like whether or not to bring them along or whatever.
No, yeah, the White Hand Man was purely just like a cameo.
He's always looking for Tori.
What?
He's always looking for Tori.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to find her in season 4.
I do wish.
He's dead.
No, he's dead. I do wish, the one thing that I wish we could have like interrogated Vincent a little bit more, because I was very curious.
Like,
I mean, 100% he should have died, but like, was he Dust Devil? Was
Vincent
he
was
Fedra?
a Dust Devil.
Okay.
Oh!
Vincent was a Dust Devil.
Oh no!
He actually was like Peter's mentor.
That's so gross.
Man, should have vibe checked.
Wow.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I thought. But I was just like, Just
I
to
don't know
like
if I
have
said
that
this
like
on stream or
realization
off stream,
moment.
but like I did kind of like establish it right in the first session, right when I said that you guys first met Lucy. She was like coming out of a room in hushed conversation with Vincent. I was very much going for the, I forget the character's name, but the guy in Lord of the Rings, that makes the king like all old and bruised and shit.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
that guy.
yeah, that guy.
The name of
Isn't
the
it like
character
Worm
is
Tongue or something
Primo
weird like that?
Wormtongue.
Worm Tongue?
Okay, Worm Tongue. Okay.
How's that like this?
I was like, someone on this Zoom will know who this person
She's like,
is.
I
but
got
do not.
this.
I do
JMO
not.
equated it to is it Avernus or whoever is in the Dragon Prince? That's
Oh,
like the little
Avros.
Oh yes,
Yeah, the little
yeah,
caterpillar
Yeah.
that's like
Oh, for
talking in
sure.
everyone's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Like, yep, that's
comparison.
I
definitely
couldn't
him.
not think of that.
Yeah.
That whole last
Like-
session. I was just like, ew, somebody's smushing.
Like Avros.
Yeah.
Whispering in people's ears for his own chaos.
Yeah, he wanted to purely cause chaos so that the Dust Elves could come in and raid the QZ.
See, I knew it. I called that. It's like, bomb goes off, Dust Devils are coming in.
What are some other moments that we wish we would have seen? I think I would have liked to see Leo and Nessa reunite after everything had happened.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely
because
that,
they
yeah.
were cuties. They were definitely the Zachariah Williams Gavin, Derek Williams Gavin of
Yes.
this season.
Honestly, I was just a little jelly of you getting to roleplay so much romance with Michael, so I had to.
I was getting a little jelly.
Stop it.
Funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Watch
though.
out,
They were-
season 4.
Yeah,
No more jelly.
I wish Fable would have had the guts to ask what I was planning to have her ask when she talked to Nessa, which was, how do you know when something's real? Like, how do you know when love is real? Which I didn't get to because like I chickened out and I was like, she would chicken out. She wouldn't say it. This is not the right space. Or,
Oh,
like,
I know. I remember that too. I was like,
Yes.
no, I want this conversation to happen.
And I was like, yeah. So it was like we had just a little bit more time. I feel like we would have gotten there, but I
Yeah.
think it was implied with what she was asking. And my assumption, Emily, I don't want to speak for your character. I feel like Nessa knew what she was asking for real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with like after Kate died, like I feel like in the future, Fable probably would have come to Nessa as like a parental, like motherly figure a lot.
yeah, for sure. And I think she looks up to the relationship that Leo and Nessa have because she's like, how is that even possible? Like, that's insane.
And
Yeah.
then Lex is behind her being like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
No.
I wanted all of the conversations that were
I
left hanging after
know.
Kate died.
There's a
I
lot
was
we
like, she
wanted
wanted
with
to talk
Kate.
to Lex. She wanted to
Yeah.
punch Grace.
Yeah.
Fable.
Do you think
Yeah.
Kate would have forgiven Grace?
Oof.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think she wouldn't have, like, depending on if the Fireflies and everything were like still there. I still think Grace, whether Fable left or not, I still think Kate would have left even if Fable and Luke didn't. I think like after everything, she just was like, you know,
Oh.
Can't do the bullshit anymore.
yeah.
It would have been so good. They all went
heartbreaking.
together.
It's genuinely so heartbreaking that that Kate died.
Yeah.
God, I'm
and that's
so
why I like
mad about
doing the Chat of Doom. And
Yeah.
for our other stuff, I usually like to roll dice, but for the remains, I purely do it there because I feel like it does really raise the stakes.
Mhm.
Fight thing, like that's a whole
Oh,
nother.
God.
You just have to look at it sitting there.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, and we
yeah.
all see it at the same time, so we're
yeah,
all
I
like,
know.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so heart wrenching.
It hurts.
Seeing that 6 was so heart
Uh,
wrenching. Any other stuff that you wish you would have seen or could have seen, or anything narrative wise?
I mean, the next stages of the QZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't weakened Fedra at all, but we have significantly weakened the Fireflies.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Fedra's response is probably going to be one of like cracking down.
For sure. Like, would you honestly, objectively call the end of season 3 a good ending? Like,
Not at all.
You know,
Not at
like-
all.
Fireflies.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. And like
No.
Kate's dead, Like, what's even the point, man?
It's like our characters survived, and they might have had some personal growth, but their environment has only
gotten worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes me want to consider a future return, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Lex stayed. Lex would not have.
Yeah.
Lex stayed.
Yeah.
And I think Lex. I would have loved to see a conversation where Lex and Tara are somehow in a room together.
Woof.
Yeah.
And I just want there to be the sense of
I
like,
really wanted a Lex Tara moment. I really wanted
I
that
just
to
want there to
happen.
be
It
a
just never
moment where
happened.
Lex is like, you are alive because of
Yeah.
me and the people that like they're just
Yeah.
like it doesn't even have to come out, but there's just
Yeah.
a knowing sense of like, you little shit.
Yeah. Angie and I will get on a private Zoom call one day, just the two of us, not streamed or recorded at all, and we will do
Yeah.
that.
And we'll
Just our own.
Just some one-on-one RP.
We'll just
Yep.
really have a hankering.
Oh my god.
Well, speaking
Sometimes you
of,
just want to make up fake things with your friends, okay?
yeah, exactly.
So true.
Speaking of that, where are places that here? I'll start with you, JMO. Where would you see Kate in the future?
Damn.
About 6 feet under.
30.
Worms and dirt.
Jesus Christ.
Emily, where do you see Nessa's immediate future going?
I think that after Nessa got her and Leo into that, and like they clearly had like not seen eye to eye on like what they should do for so long, like I think she would have followed Leo anywhere he wanted to go.
Yeah,
Aw.
whether that
Well,
be
I
stay
really
there
think-
or leave.
She had called the shots for a long time, and he
Mhm.
had sort of just like been by her side
Southern
despite
Hugh Laurie.
not agreeing. Yeah, so I really think she would have just been like, if you want to stay, we will stay. If you want to go, we will go.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I liked their
I love that.
relationship. They were really good.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
All right, Levi. Sophie, you said that he would maybe try to build up what he can of some sort of resistance group. Maybe not even make it the Fireflies. Is that what you see still?
I think so. I think that there's going to be some effort for like mutual aid, similar as what he was already doing with the church, and then also trying to reform some sort of resistance to protect the people from Fedra as much as possible. He doesn't know how to do that, so he might fail and might get caught and might like end up going down. But I think the people that are still there, that he's made a connection with a lot of people in the QZ on a person-to-person level, and try to win hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Make a difference.
Levi's so inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Fable.
So I said in the end of the last episode
Yeah.
that she would leave with Luke.
Yes.
And then I slept on it and I got up and I was like, what'd she know? Like, because I was like, God, you have to reckon with the fact that this guy said he was going to be there with you, like stand with you through anything.
Mhm.
And then he tried to run off with a bomb in his backpack and leave you behind. Like, how shitty is... So I was like, okay, maybe she wouldn't. But then I was like, but then what did she learn from Kate? Like, then nothing, right? So
Yeah.
it's like the fact that people that you love are gonna do things that you don't agree with, but if you ignore the chance to like talk about that and then make a better choice next time, like
Yeah.
you lose 2 years and then the rest of your life because they die at the hands of the clicker with you not even there.
Oh
So-
no.
So I think she does go with him, and I like to hope, something I would have liked to see obviously is like the talk they have after all of this nonsense, and like how does she express what that meant to her, and like how much
Mhm.
that hurt her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that I would hope that they work it out, because I think that they're
Yeah.
a really good team, actually. And
I do too.
I
Yeah.
think they could go out and like use this little shtick they have of like pretending to be these innocent little babies. Quite far, so
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I love.
feel like that's kind of the vibe. I
Yeah,
feel.
Luke and Fable's story was great, and I definitely would have loved to see that. But no saying we might not. You know, who knows? There's gonna be tons of seasons of The Remains. I'm sure of it. Hundreds of seasons. And then you briefly did just talk about it. You know, talk about staying in Atlanta. But would she help Sophie at all, or Levi? Would she? You know, what would Lex do?
Couple things. Yes, absolutely, especially with the end of, not the end of the Fireflies, but with the remaining amount of Fireflies, and like having been the reason that they lost Lucy.
Yeah.
I could imagine that there might be some turmoil amongst the group,
Sure.
because you know, who would believe, like, oh, she asked me to, or like in the midst of this giant plan, she was like, nah, just end it.
No one.
So I think definitely she would still be trying to find ways to go against Fedra, to go against Tara specifically sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that there was a part of me as Lex at the end that knows that I'm gonna go back to Mina, because the reason, and I think we kind of talked about it, Zach, the reason that Lex ended it with Mina was not because she didn't love Mina, was not because she like didn't want to be with her, but because she got lost in the Fireflies. And like even as early as like the first season, or like the season with Mina and Lex first meeting, like Mina was always there for Lex.
Yeah.
And like in service of Lex, essentially.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's like nature of an NPC, right? Is like they kind of are like whatever. But then I was like, oh, that would have gotten very tiresome as things with the Fireflies were ramping up, and I don't think Mina necessarily would have understood Lex's passion for that.
Yeah.
And so something like Lucy coming along and being a person that she can share that part of herself with is very titillating. Yeah. And so I think
J-Mo,
in the midst of it all,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you out. You can't laugh at titillating, J-Mo.
It's a funny word.
It is titillating. Titillating is a titillating word.
I'm sorry. So
and this is why you and Mina only lasted for one smash.
Yeah, 100%.
Smash and pass.
I view Mina as like, I always viewed Mina as very much, it would be an interesting personality trait to deal with in the apocalypse, which is a person who can find happiness in very little. And like have that and they can have that sustain them, and just like, and they're just okay with it, and that's just like a thing. And that would be definitely, and that's not who Lex is, I would say.
No, and I think Lex seeing, or at least me as Lex seeing Mina like not immediately be in service of me when she like walked up with the group on Kate or on me with my gun to Grace. Was like, oh, she is her own person, and that's a person that I've loved for 20 years, and how fucking dare I, what have you done kind of moment. And I
think that Mina, if that would have happened, Mina probably would have not fought that very hard, because Mina is definitely like the kind of person that would be like, I've always loved you, I knew you always loved me, and I knew you would always come back, like I just didn't know how long it would take, kind of a thing, you know.
I would hope she would make me work for it a little bit.
I'm sure she would, but I don't think she doesn't want it, is what I mean. And okay, well, as we kind of wrap up, just final thoughts. Anything that sticks out to you about the story, or even the system itself, or just anything. Just final thoughts. Range.
This is not really so much to do with this specific story, but the pride that I feel when describing these sessions and this series to people who have not watched it, or like don't know that it's out there. Like even today I was having coffee with a friend who is like, we are D&D friends. Like our relationship is mostly about that.
Yeah.
And I was describing this to him and like some of the scenes that have come out of this, and he's very heavily roleplay focused as well. And he was just like, this sounds amazing. It sounds like so fun. And he's like, how do you come up with the intricacies and so I just want to like, my final thoughts are like, I just want to give props to you, Zach, who like not only is doing full weekly sessions of D&D every week, but also is taking this world and like, in my opinion, as someone who is very invested in it, accurately portraying little snippets of a bigger picture.
Well, I appreciate
and, like,
that. Thank you very
basically,
much.
we're just writing collaborative fan fiction.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just about to say. I think it's. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without anybody else who's involved, you know. And I think that I completely agree. I think we, in the remains, we're willing to tackle things that are emotional and heavy, and we're willing to also have those emotions with each other, and I just think we tell good. I think it's good stories because I feel like in a setting like this, in a setting like the world of The Last of Us, humans are so raw in a way, and I think that when shown in such a raw way, we get to see more. I think it's super interesting, and something I've just always kind of been weirdly obsessed with apocalyptic settings and like dystopian stuff because I just feel like there's nothing more interesting than a society dependent on technology, dependent on society and its norms and its mechanisms being reverted back to food, water, shelter. There's just nothing more interesting than that to me. So yeah, I completely agree, AJ, and I think we tell some good stories. Anybody else? Final thoughts?
I know I'm gonna be sad to be not available on Wednesdays for a long time.
Yeah,
so it'll be a while before I come back to it, but I'm very glad I was able to join this one just as my last hurrah before I can't again. So
well, we might, and we could maybe find it. But it was great having you, and I thought it was cool to have you from the one shot too, and see how much the system has grown, and
definitely,
and
and the system as a whole, I like a lot more how like immediate consequences are.
Yes,
because I feel like with initiative and all of this, like and yes, guns, but very much less prominently so. Of like, well, if you try to tackle someone with the gun, you're probably going to get shot. It's not like, do they hit me? Do they not? It's like, no, you're just going to get, like, they have a gun to you. You're going to get shot, It's very much like there's consequences. And even, again, it's just the classic, here comes the consequences when I, grab Lucy. I was just like, oh, right, I can't just, like, ninja my way around.
I can't roll a really high acrobatics and just have this
like,
be a
you're
thing
just gonna
that's
keep
okay.
shooting Leo. Oh, okay. Well,
that's what I really like about the remains too, because in just a setting like this, because like D&D, even a first level fighter is somewhat superhuman. And so like and so like in the remains, everybody, you're just fucking people, dude. Like you're just people.
The 0 hit point done is like so stressful.
Oh my god. Well, and then it's like you're left like the power of the storytelling then in combat is the grappling with what happened. Like it's not the combat itself. It is the combat itself, but when the consequence is immediate, you're left to then unravel that like what the hell just happened. And there's so much like meaty goodness in that, and you think about it from an RP and like an actor brain perspective, you're like, I want that, let's go.
Yeah. And it gives you, with less die rolls in general too, it then gives more of that, like, okay, we rolled a die, but we still have a reason for it, like what Sophie said with Levi. He tripped because this is his first time. That makes sense. And with me, like, I wasn't quiet because I was trying to apologize to Lex while we were walking down the hallway. Like,
Damn it.
And not only are you like lower HP, lower AC, but like even your stats, like none of them are that great. You know, you're not
Yeah.
adding like
Five
+6,
is, like, the
+7.
highest.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Yeah,
four,
unless you
yeah.
have a rifle, like even a little
Yeah.
knife, you know,
Exactly.
only does so much.
And
Yep.
yeah, no, I think it's a work in progress for sure, but I'm
Mhm.
proud of it. I think it's good.
And I will also
So
say,
cool.
a little knife only does so much, but I very much enjoy the like you still can hit the like classic zombie headshot.
Yes.
Yes,
like, one shot.
even with the low
Yes.
damage
Like
weapon.
adding that
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
a great addition of like, yeah, you
Agreed.
have a little knife, but if you can get it right in the eye,
Yeah.
Yep.
great, awesome.
Yeah,
You
cool.
know?
I'm glad you said that because that's kind of I thought that
I
that
love
would
that.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Because what a treat for us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's stressful.
real.
It's stressful.
Instead of
but
like
then
just
we
like
we
continually
succeed.
stabbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like
I also-
it makes combat more of a like instead of a like slow burn like combat can
Yeah.
sometimes be. It's like
Mhm.
it's 50-50.
Like
It's
chunking-
either
chunking
really
it
good or
up.
really bad, and it's like
Yep.
there's no in between. There's no like okay, I
Yeah.
took 10
That was
damage
meh.
out of my 20, like or
Yeah.
out of my like 40 or
Have-
whatever, you know.
Have you considered giving the weapons durability?
I have considered that. I just
Ooh,
honestly what it
don't
is
say
is
that.
I
Say that.
what it is I
Oh.
I didn't want to give the players so much to track by themselves
Sure.
because that would be
That's
hard for
helpful.
me to track.
Yeah.
But I have definitely considered it for sure and might give it a shot.
Especially for the people who've played before and they get it. Like if it was
Yeah.
with brand new players, I think that would have been a lot to take
Yeah.
on. But having played
As
it,
we've played, yeah.
yeah, having
I've also
played it
thought
now, I feel
about,
like you could add in layers.
we did this the Charmed Persons cast. Most of us last year did this in-person get-together where we played a post-apocalyptic game, and in that game I had a mechanic where guns would jam under a certain number.
Yeah. was
or
cool.
break,
That
and,
was
they would
cool.
and so that's something
I've
else
seen that
I've thought
before.
of.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've thought of putting into this.
And
I
it'd
love
be
that.
more for you to think about, but even like someone who's just handed a gun and has to fire it, like then the like number they have to hit for that
Ooh,
is like higher.
higher.
I feel
Yeah.
like that
Because
would be
you,
like
you can
an
just like
aim
fumble with
Amateur.
it and just like
almost.
jam it.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Like in the
Interesting.
game, like in the video game, that's like
Yep.
almost equivalent to like the aim mechanic. Like, do you have
Yep.
auto aim or
Yeah.
or not?
Right.
Are you on
Interesting.
difficulty level hard? Or-
I would say
I want to go easy, please.
I would say the remains is on moderate, honestly.
For sure.
Um,
I agree.
Yes,
Blue
100%.
Valley hard. Blue Valley
Oh
hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blue
No.
Valley hard.
Hey, I'll take it there. Don't you worry
Grounded
about
permadeath.
it.
I would also say it was nice to have the opportunity to not do like traditional combat. Like I
Yeah.
will humble brag. Fable took 0 damage that entire
Yeah.
the entire game. She took not a
I
single hit point
love
damage.
that. I did not know
Because
that.
Because I was like, she would never, like, she would literally never go
I
face
love it.
down
I
Yeah.
love
a zombie. So I was like,
Yeah.
where can I hide? Where can I
Cleric
sit
energy.
from?
Yeah.
You know, wait, scout.
Going up
like,
the
what
roof.
are other things? Yeah, like, what are other things I can do?
I love it.
I think, that is also great because, while there is that, like, very in your face, these things are fast, these things are evil, like, they have no, like, semblance of whatever, you're just gonna have to face them eventually.
Yeah.
I loved having the opportunity to play with a different approach as well, kind of like, in D&D you've got the support character where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm the cleric, I'm the healer, I'm not gonna go punch 80 damage in one hit with my short sword. It's like I can pick a different strength. So I think that's really cool to see in
Yeah.
any mechanics. So I loved that as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Also, I loved
I
never
completely
taking
agree.
any damage.
Yeah, I would love that too. Yeah, for sure.
I kept track of my damage, like instead of just changing the actual one, I just did plus or minus every time I healed or took damage in the like Google bar. And so my bar is like this long, with just like +4, -3, -2, -3.
That's funny.
They took a lot of damage.
Yeah. Kate
Harder.
put herself out there for sure.
I love
yeah.
the protector skin so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is this freaking real? What you just posted?
Oh god. Sorry, that was for later.
Ah!
It's not a cordyceps, it's a yeast, but it's
Oh, good.
still there's a fungal infection out there, y'all.
that.
Happy apocalypse.
Just wash your private parts.
Yeah.
Oh,
And on that,
And on that note,
Arnaud, clear.
I feel like season 3 was a super emotional season, high impact season,
Good
great
one.
characters, great stories, which, like I said, lead me to maybe want to visit again someday. So who knows? But thank you all for being a part of it. It was a really great time, a really good story. Thank you all for watching. Usually I would have a little teaser. Oh, the puppy.
Dog.
Usually I would have a little teaser for season 4. But I kind of already gave it. I'm just kidding. I do have one. So it's a cold, wintry night.
Yeah, it is.
Snow. We hear a soft crunching. Snow. We see footprints made by heavy boots in the ground, and we follow them. And we see, ragged pants, the ends of a torn jacket, going all the way up this figure. A figure that has a hood put up as they crest this hill of pine trees. They stop and they exhale and they take a deep breath. Their breath seen on the night air, and as the camera kind of pans around them, you see that they're looking at lights, and they're looking at a series of cabins with a long wooden wall around it. A campgrounds, if you will. And as the camera continues to pan, you see the breath exhaling, and then the camera centers on a face. A rugged, torn, ugly face. Wearing a black eye patch. And so that is the little teaser for season 4.
We're just trying to have a happy life here.
Conceive a party slice of life.
But thank you all for watching. Thank you to my players, the best players a GM can ask for. As always, everybody.
Bye.